get to talk with business coach Bill Stack. Some of the strategies that Bill shares is going to be some massive takeaways that you'll be able to apply to your business.
Never take my own thoughts too seriously. I've added a little extra to it where I would say never take my own judgments too seriously, especially if I find myself inadvertently judging a person or a situation as that's right or that's wrong. The moment I do that, I'm outside of what we call the realm of possibility. So in order for me to live in possibility, I have to be careful of my thoughts of judgment.
Jump in, you're going to love it. Bill Stack, business coach. Why did you become a business coach?
I became a business coach a while back in my career to have a diverse experience of various businesses coming at me so I would even learn more about business. I realized I knew I could help some businesses in some areas, but I knew I was also a fledgling coach at the time. So joining an organization like Action Coach and having a preponderance of other coaches around me and the sort of the accountability to be better at getting into the principles of business, I knew that would have been a better environment for me to be a business coach in. So I did that way, and I'm pretty happy with it. It ended up being an experience that had me hopping into all kinds of industries and learning both the principles and the nuances of each industry. So it was a lot of fun. That was why I became a business coach. I wanted to diversify my business experience.
What's the number one thing that you think gets the best results in business?
I would say, combination of mindset and taking appropriate actions to never stop learning and using what you learned. So number one thing would be use what you learn. Closest second thing is keep learning new stuff so that you can use what you learn next.
And what do you mean by use what you learn?
As a coach or as a business owner, the universe doesn't stay static. So you have sales go up, sales go down. You're trying to take an uncontrolled condition and keep it in a nice controlled environment so that you have predictable sales flow, your cash flow is solid. So when you're making your decisions on what to do in the week, or your team helping them make decisions on what to do in the week, it has to correlate back to that. So to match up the expectation with the actual inputs.
Business owners come to you with a challenge. Quite often that can be maybe cash flow. It might be, time management. They're working in their businesses, they're working for their business, not them business working for them. They want to scale, or, maybe they feel like they're spinning their wheels. So what's the most common challenges that business owners face that you find?
What they see as a challenge might not be the real challenge in the business. I would say common challenge is a little bit clarity on what is actually happening. Nevertheless, the biggest challenge, once that's established, is time. What is the business owner doing with their time? What is the team doing with their time to either make a problem go away or to perpetuate the same problem? It all boils down to they don't take time to learn and to pay attention to what's really happening. They're not going to be able to exercise any extra time on solving it. So I would say time management is the priority because everything flows from there.
What's the number one tip you can give me and our listeners on time management, how to get that time back? So I think that's a common challenge it certainly is for me, and I'm sure it would be for most of our listeners. What's number one strategy that you can share?
Well, pay attention to where the time goes. Make sure that there's what we call red, green, or amber or yellow activities. Maximize those green activities, the things that absolutely are going to produce a result that you're going to need from the business. And delegate a lot of things to the floor or to your team, and make sure that you do some quick follow-up to ensure that the team is doing the things that were delegated to them reasonably well. It doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to keep moving and not have you or your business get overwhelmed majoring in minor things.
Tell me about a client that you've worked with, Bill. What was their initial challenge that they came to you with?
One of my favorite clients, and I'll just mention it, I'm sure you probably have heard of this business, Urban Clean, office cleaning specialists. The challenge was how to establish a good foothold in an already saturated market. Offices get cleaned by everyone. Office cleaning is everywhere. Almost everybody has an office cleaner unless they're doing the cleaning themselves. So how do we establish a strong foothold, a profitable foothold in a purely saturated market. So we had to take a good look at the sales process, and I'll probably go a little too long on this, but it ends up being, how do we get from the village to the tribe to the family? How do we have them, meaning the prospects, look at us as part of their solution set for the business? Most of the time it boils down to pet peeves. What are the pet peeves in the office? That type of thinking is one of the biggest problems, that they weren't quite aware about what was happening in the head of the prospect and the customer. Once we really analyzed that and talked to enough of prospects and customers, we figured out that particular problem. And then the problem of a saturated market wasn't a big issue for the company anymore. So that was really good. That was the number one thing.
How did you identify who the ideal client was for Urban Clean? And who is that?
First of all, with the overall arching process of what you just said, you're right, is saying no is part of any strategy. Any good strategy always slams the doors on everything that isn't that strategy. You have no choice. Otherwise, you get really distracted.
Which is hard.
It's super hard.
No to potential sales.
It's super hard, and that's why good coaching keeps you accountable, so you don't get caught up in the noise of whatever book you just read, or some chat that you had at the dinner, or something on the internet starts to be shiny object syndrome as a business owner. So we stick to the plan. We figure out what that niche is, what the mindset is of the people who make the decisions in that niche, and then go for a proper communication set for that mindset.
What was the point of difference that Urban Clean has?
Well, they do say that, but they also stick their hand up saying, hey, I'm the cheapest. Please pick me, right? So we put the hand up and say, we are not the cheapest. And this is why. Check out our customers. They're happy. You want this, this, and this. Let's just have a discussion. Remember, it's that we had to think about that. We don't want them to make a decision right away. We want them to just have a discussion. That's when we show our concern about what their pet peeves were, why it's important to them. We actually help them come up to a realization that not only do I have a cleaner, but do I have the right cleaner for our business? You don't get straight into that discussion right away, but you can work your way through it if you're careful.
What's your favorite business book?
There are so many. I would say my favorite is Chris Voss's Never Split the Difference. And if it's okay, I know it might be a long answer, but I think just like we just talked about, everything that my clients have to do, I have to do as a coach, is done with and through people. So if you don't know how to negotiate, or you don't, and everything is some form of negotiation, communication is excellent in a negotiating sense. That's when you really have to communicate very well and effectively. So I use Chris Voss's late night DJ voice and calm people down a little bit. I like his accusation audit in the book. Chris Voss's Never Split the Difference is my favorite. And come to think of it, Chris, he actually trained us as in a conference years ago.
Hats off to you for committing to your learning by listening to this podcast. And if you'd like some help implementing some of these strategies, then click the link in the description to find your local action coach. They can help you put these strategies into action and take your business and your life to the next level. In the meantime, like and subscribe so that you're the first to get our next episode. We'll see you soon.